Prattusha with us, and Prattusha has done her MA and also PhD in counseling and PGDCH and NLP, and she is having experience of 15 years. And today she is going to share a case study treating OCD with hypnotherapy and CBT. Yeah. I don't know what is wrong with my internet. मैं बार बार बाहर निकल जा रही हूँ और I
Okay.
don't know what is wrong. So you may
Now,
start, please.
Okay. So, while ma'am is putting out the PPT, I'm really sorry again for this whole thing.
you continue. Doesn't matter.
Yes. While there are certain points that are put up on the slide, there is a document that I have. I could not put everything on the slide, and I will be trying my best to explain the entire therapeutic process that I have used for this particular client. This is a long-term client where we have been doing therapy now for over 2 years. And it had started before her 10th standard examination. This is an adolescent with so the OCD had a lot of different aspects. At that point of time, the contamination aspect was very high, and the approach that I used was CBT along with hypnosis. It was online, offline, combined uh, sessions. Sometimes we were doing online, sometimes we were doing offline. Next slide, ma'am. So this case, it started with her exam triggers before her. This was around 1 year before her 10th examination, and the triggers became a lot where her OCD symptoms were becoming more exaggerated, and the parents were very uncomfortable with pharmacological treatment. They were already going through a particular therapist at that point, and she was moving abroad, and she had to stop therapy with her, which had caused a lot of distress in the client as well. There is something that I could see, that the sensory and the emotional parts were very intertwined here. From what I was trying to understand, so yes, so the family system was a joint system. She was in 10th grade. It was just before that, early to mid. There were risk factors because her father's family had OCD dispositions. Her aunt already had OCD and she was managing it, but it was not as in the intensity was not as high as hers. So she was managing, but she had chosen to not marry anybody. She still had the feeling that I don't know how I will go outside and adjust. So she had chosen not to marry. She was living with them. So this was one genetic as well as environmental factor that was present in her social context. There was an academic pressure as well. The core was the dirt that she felt was emotionally defined, not objectively defined. So if somebody has, I am not feeling comfortable with someone, then that person would become more dirty. There was a connection between that. So there was no objectivity between being dirty and actually not dirty. Her idea of dirt and actually how the person or the object was dirty or not, there was a big question mark. Even though there was this one aspect which we will come to later, that her grandmother was a little old. And because her grandmother was old, her grandmother did have bowel control issues. So sometimes she would pee and the drops would be far, and she would become very hyper and she would start overthinking if those drops had been cleaned or not, or if this is happening all the time, then everybody is walking. People are going to walk into my room, same foot, and all of those things were there. There was compulsive hand washing, bathing, and a lot of avoidance. So her room was very dirty. It was not that her room was clean. Her room was dirty and she was not cleaning it because she didn't want to touch certain parts of the room. And she wouldn't allow anybody else also to clean those parts of the room. And this was causing a lot of problems. It was causing withdrawal, and she was not able to function properly in the room, study, and all of those things were also problematic. Yes, ma'am. Next slide. So, what we saw was hyper anxiety, hypervigilance, the feeling of helplessness, loneliness, worthlessness. All of this were always present because it felt like I am the OCD, like I am OCD. There was no distinction between who am I and I have OCD, I have something, this is not my entire identity. That had become a little blur by that time. And there was also a lot of anticipatory anxiety about the future. Because how is my future going to be? Will it be like my aunt? My aunt has not been able to do a lot of things. I might just end up being like her. So that was one part of her overthinking and intrusive thoughts. Next slide. So there was this change in therapist, and because there was change in therapist, she was very resistant initially, very, very resistant. She felt that this is not going to work. This has not been working out. I had been trying for 8, 9 months now. There is nothing happening. So there was very minimum participation. There was big distrust and refusal of psychological testing. The family did not want any medication. So all of those things were already there. I could hardly see her forehead in the initial sessions because she would only want online. She would not want to meet, and she would not even want to show her face. So that was the state. While that was the state, so I had to prioritize her rapport building over everything. I would prioritize rapport building and trying to get her into a comfortable space, make her feel that it is okay. It is okay in so many different ways. Yes. Next. So, the emotional validation that she was feeling, a very big part was that nobody understands my dirty, so nobody will understand me. And the client kept feeling that there is no emotional validation, then I cannot choose. A lot of her physical activities had also been stopped. She was somebody with a lot of energy. She used to do kickboxing, she would go for jogging, and all of those. So, those things had also stopped before her 10th examination. Now, with all of this, I had to do a lot of parental psychoeducation, help them understand what is OCD and why stopping all of these activities is also a part of a trigger at this point. And I tried to keep her participation as flexible as possible, that she could, try to talk, and when she would choose what she wants to talk about to reduce resistance and increase more of her engagement. When she started seeing that my parents are also agreeing to certain things if I am behaving in certain ways, so she started becoming more engaging in the sessions. So these were the initial things that had followed. So this was, I started off with CBT more because we had to do a lot of rapport building work. So initially was the psychoeducation. Even she really wanted to understand OCD a little better. And we went through the thought, feeling, behavior model of CBT to try and understand what are the thoughts behind the feelings that I'm having, the anxiety that I'm having, the kind of thoughts are coming before and after the anxiety. So we were doing a lot of worksheets at that point and a lot of journaling, gratitude exercises. So along with that, I had actually started a lot of media based exercises where we were watching movies together, good inspirational movies. Some of them were based on mental health, not all of them were based on mental health. Some of them were feel good movies, trying to see and understand that different people have different problems. This is my problem, doesn't really mean that everybody else is doing okay. So, those media based normalization movies we started watching. So, she could ease in and talk more. We would watch one movie and we would discuss all of the characters, the main theme, and try to understand what the main character did so that the person could cope with that particular situation. But not everything was directly connected to her because I didn't want her to come across feeling targeted, because she could complain that initially she had been feeling a lot of targeted. So the idea was strengthening cognitive flexibility and to focus on certain symptoms and understand those symptoms, doing a lot of questionnaires and doing a lot of worksheets and CBT questioning around this. Yes, next. So we introduced hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy was introduced 1-2 months prior to a particular trip that she was supposed to have. She was supposed to go abroad with her cousins, and that was something that she was very very conflicted with, because she really wanted to go, but she was very concerned that how will I be able to manage this trip with my OCD symptoms. So here she had a particular incentive that if I am able to manage my symptoms and all of that very well, then I will be able to have this trip, and this trip will be good. So there I started introducing breathing awareness and visualizations. We started on very smaller basis, because initially she would find it very difficult to even close her eyes and sit for longer time. So we started on those areas with a lot of ego strengthening statements under. So basically, I would start with progressive muscle relaxation and breathing awareness, and then go into a particular script that was created for ego strengthening, which would include positive visualization at that point, and that was helping a lot with emotional regulation. So yes, these are the things that were included. So it was breathing awareness and PMR, guided visualization, safe place imagery, ego strengthening scripts, and post hypnotic suggestions of being calm around people to increase the focus on what I would like to focus on, not on what my thoughts are asking me to focus on. So these were the certain things that were introduced before she went for the vacation. Yes, next slide. Now, here the idea of CBT plus hypnosis was the cognitive awareness, which was happening through the CBT work. We were becoming more aware of what we were doing through answering different questions. And I focused a lot on self talk, that what am I telling myself? And what is the function of what I am telling myself? So, if I'm telling myself that I'm worthless, what is the function of that thought? What is the idea behind that thought? What do I want to do so that I don't feel like this? And then trying to understand how can I change this negative self-talk into something which is more positive or neutral, maybe not very positive, but neutral. So that was the thought restructuring part that I was doing with CBT. And when we were doing hypnosis sessions, we were trying to introduce the same thoughts that were restructured, neutral thoughts, and focusing on calming, relaxing, ego strengthening. It was the shift had to happen that I can observe and question my thoughts. My thoughts are not the end of it. So initially there was a feeling that okay, these are my thoughts, and my thoughts are absolute, my thoughts are right, my thoughts are not wrong. So through CBT we came to understand that my thoughts are wrong, they can be wrong, they are not the ultimate truth, and I can just observe my thoughts and I can question my thoughts. Yes, next slide. So we did natural exposure in new environment. So when she went to her trip, they went to Canada with a couple of friends, and it was a very good experience for her, where she could see a lot of other people who did not have those many symptoms, and who did not have anything, basically nothing, no OCD, nothing, and their life looked much more easier. And then she started questioning OCD even more. So if my idea of dirty and all are absolute, and others don't have the same idea, but they are doing well in life, and I am not doing well in life. So whose thoughts and beliefs need to be questioned? The OCD thoughts and beliefs need to be questioned, or the thoughts and beliefs that the other cousins were having at that point with respect to OCD and cleanliness and all of that. So she came to understand that life felt easier without those thoughts. There were reduced compulsions, there was reduced stress, and there was a lot of social engagement. So she came to understand that it is okay, I can detach. Sorry, that I can detach, and this is not something that I can unlearn. I can unlearn this. Yes, next slide. So the behavior was certain things that we saw, which was reduced, was the hand washing part had reduced considerably. And there was increased social participation, which had reduced considerably. Now, here we were able to understand that we can have compassion towards ourselves, understand the negative self talk, and then change it with compassion, and then understand catastrophic thinking, the intensity that the OCD is increasing the thoughts and making it look catastrophic, but they might not be realistic. So these were the outcomes that we had after the trip, after all of these sessions. Yes, next. So there are a lot of challenges, of course, and this is something that I'm giving more like a gist. There is a lot of work that has gone in every session, where there has been sessions which has been divided. So the first 10 sessions were basically rapport building sessions. The next 10 sessions were family engagement, psychoeducation, watching movies, loosening up and questioning more. And then the next 10 sessions were more of CBT. Then the next 10 sessions were a lot of hypnosis. So there were a lot of sessions, and by the end of this entire process, what we found was there were contamination rituals that she still has. And of course, we really have to work on that. The room cleaning avoidance has not gone away. So, avoiding to clean the room, we are working on it. That has improved a lot. So, initially, it used to be like very, very dirty, but now it is not as dirty. Now it is more messy, is what we can call, is how the mother would like to put it. There has been, we have seen spikes of anxiety during the menstrual cycles, where she gets even more irritated with the idea of being dirty and cleaning herself a little bit more. And of course, recovery is non-linear. There are times when we had to do some crisis interventions before the 10th exam. So initially there was a lot of worry about how will she be giving her 10th standard exams, how much well she'll be doing with all of these thoughts, not being able to sit at one place and start studying and doing major work, because after a point she would start feeling that the table is dirty. Then she has to make sure that the pen is kept in a certain way, that will become dirty, that this book should not touch that book, or this should not touch that. All of these things were a lot of major aspects of the problem areas. Those had reduced by the end of, I could say, almost 9 months. And after that, she was sitting at one place, she was studying, she gave her 10th exams. In between, there were a lot of emergency, or rather crisis management sessions that were required. And however, we have seen improvement and progress when there has been a good combination with hypnosis and CBT. So there has been audios that has been prepared. She has prepared audios for herself, and certain audios or certain scripts that were used in the hypnosis session, in the therapy room. She has recorded those audios, and she has put into practice of using those audios a little more frequently. And but with her, there is one thing, that not one thing works for a very long period of time. She will get bored of one thing after a point in time, and then we have to figure out something new to do. And using social media has helped because of her age. And we have tried our best to use social media positively, using positive content, trying to understand how to avoid the negative content, and all of that. Yes. Next. So there is something, after her 10th exam was done, she has 80% agreed for a formal assessment, a clinical assessment, a personality assessment, and things like that. However, it has not come to fruition yet, because after her 10th exams, she has gone into trying to understand her career. So we had spent a little more time into trying to understand what is the career that I want and how do I want things to go ahead. She chose law. So she went through an aptitude test, the entire battery of aptitude, vocational assessment, and came to choose a career. But that process was a little overwhelming for her at one particular point. So she immediately did not want to go for any other assessment of personality and things, but she's willing at this point, which was not the case before. And we have started sessions with systematic desensitization sessions, visual systematic desensitization sessions. Now, here, when we are doing systematic desensitization sessions, we imagine a particular area which generally she does not like being in that area at all. Even imagining that area would make her feel anxious and trigger her OCD tendencies. So we would slowly imagine that particular area, and then we would slowly imagine ourselves walking into that area. We would slowly then imagine ourselves doing something in that area. And through this systematic sessions, continuous sessions of her imagining this under hypnosis, she has been able to go stand and be in those areas of her house. Not all of them. So we have created the ladder, which is the hierarchy model, where we, from the least anxiety producing area to the most anxiety producing area, and we are going through that ladder with systematic desensitization and family collaboration. Yes, so I feel a lot of uh, I have seen a lot of good outcome in this particular case, and a huge part of it goes to the family. The mother has done her best with trying to talk to the family members. Everybody has come together to try and help. Initially it was very difficult to get the father on board. However, the father came to an understanding. They constantly kept doing psychoeducation sessions with respect to how to do, what to do, and that collaboration really helped. It made her feel that okay, I am important, and therefore my parents are doing this because they want to understand me better and they want to help me better. So there was a point in time where nobody was allowed in her room, like not her mother, not her father, nobody. But now her mother is allowed in her room when she is present. So nobody is allowed in her room otherwise when she is not present. So her mother comes in her room and speaks to her right now, which earlier was a very difficult thing to do. And she would not go and sleep in any other part of the house, but now she sleeps in her parents' room when her parents have gone for a vacation or something like that. So and the way she's talking to her family members and all of that has also improved a lot. Initially there was a lot of irritation, a lot of frustration, where we have spoken about each family member, gone in depth with how their life has been, trying to build empathy with each person in the family and how they are trying to help her. So the family collaboration has been a very huge part here. Yes, next slide. So what I feel is CBT has helped in building insight, a lot of insight into what is happening to her, and giving her that motivation that I can challenge things and it is okay to challenge my own thought. Hypnosis has helped in calming down the anxious parts and the resilience, building up the resilience. One thing that I felt was a lot of time was taken in rapport building. A lot of time was taken. And I think it is okay right now, if I look back at it, that she really had to ease into the entire process. And of course, family involvement is critical. Next slide, please. So, and the with respect to medication, so we did not use any medication. We initially I tried a lot of sessions with them, trying to convince them for medication, because even I was not very sure that how will this go without medication. 10th is approaching, she is going to get more stressed and all of that. but the family members were a complete no-no for medication because they had some case in their family where it had not worked well and it had interfered with that person's intellectual abilities. Now, this person had very good intellectual abilities. In spite of everything, she scored around 85 above in her 10th exam. So her intellectual abilities, um, so that is something that I figured while we were doing the rapport building sessions, that she was good intellectually. If you give her something to research, if you give her something to think about and answer and solve, she would be very involved and she would like to do all of that. So I had failed in convincing the parents to go for medication. After a point, they had agreed to go for homeopathy, and they had gone for homeopathy for quite some time. After which, I think they have reduced right now. A little bit of homeopathy is there, but from her side, she feels that the homeopathy is not helping her. She feels that I will take this homeopathic medication just to make my parents at ease. Otherwise, it's not very helpful, is what is her feedback with it. I had asked her that if she wants to change the homeopathic doctor and try somebody else so that we can understand what has been the exact effect or no effect of homeopathy treatment that she's going through. But that is something that I cannot comment on right now. So, with that, um, there has to be a lot of sensitivity because her initial idea itself was that nobody is able to understand, I cannot trust anybody, and a lot of structure with flexibility, of course. So when with the combination of all of these things, I feel I have seen some good results with this particular case. Next slide. Thank you everybody for being here. Um, if there's any questions or anything anybody would like to ask with respect to the case. I have not gone into a lot of session details because there were a lot of sessions involved. But if you want, I can give you the structure of the sessions that I had with her and some of the specific hypnosis sessions also.
Yes. Anyone would like to ask anything or would like to say anything? I think the answer is there. The answer. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, all I'd like to say
Yes.
is I'm very impressed by this. And I just want one question. Was there any history of abuse that came up?
This was a very big part of something that even I had felt initially, but there wasn't.
Okay.
Um, I had tried a lot and I tried to ask a lot of it. We tried even in hypnosis to explore that part a little bit, but nothing came up. Uh, I also felt initially that there can be something, but nothing came
But
up.
sometimes it can be
Nothing yet.
bullying in school or teacher punishing or humiliating, anything of that sort.
Yes. Bullying and all in school, not exactly teacher punishing as such. So initially, feeling out of place because of her ideas of, okay, this is dirty and this is not.
Okay.
So that had started initially when she was in sixth and seventh, where she had started noticing that the way I am doing things, people are starting to notice now,
Okay. So that means
close
it
to eight.
started early.
Yes, it started very early. There was initially also, so she would go back to remembering third and fourth standard, where there was this idea, there was some religious something that she mistook as clean and dirty. So um, there was some idea that dog is dirty And something like that had happened very early in her childhood, around the time when she was in third grade. And the dog had come close to her, and she had fallen ill also, and people had told her. So that was a lot of connection at that point. And she had gone through a home shift as well, like a place shift. So that was the space where there was a lot of triggers which had triggered. But she already always had this thing of not very clean and not very, that was always present.
Can you share
And
the
in the
religion
father's,
or?
she comes from Islam,
Okay.
and her father side, we could notice um, the father's sister showing symptoms and tendencies were very clear. The intensity might have been less, but it felt like she has now learned to cope with it, rather than saying that the intensity is less, because she chose to not marry anybody. So we don't know how it would have gone if she would have chosen to marry somebody or live outside of family. She works, but she lives with them. So the heredity, like, the family tendency can be there. And there was one or two more people who had
Identification.
shown, yeah. So all of that has also been there. So the environment and this thing both were present.
Yeah.
Both were
Okay.
present.
But it's good that you got this kind of a result so soon. So it'll
Yes,
take
it
time.
was around 1.5, 2 years. And
Yeah.
initially, I was very frankly not very sure if I did a right thing taking up the case, because the first 5 days she was not even ready to show her face.
Yeah, but you,
So we
so
started with
congratulations on
movies.
that. Number one. Number
Thank you.
two is, at least she trusts you now, so maybe you'll progress better. And
Yes,
one
hoping.
more question. Have any regular medical tests been done for, like
General health
vitamins
checkups
and
and all.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
No.
So initially we had to do, after a few months of therapy, we had to do that because she was going through a lot of bladder issues. She would not go to the washroom,
Okay.
and she would go to the washroom maybe once in 5 or 6 hours, and then she would spend a long time there. So that was causing a lot of internal problems, and UTI issues and all of those things were also present. So at that point, I was like, we cannot continue if you do not go for medical checkups and all and understand this part. If you're falling ill like this, then therapy will not help.
Thank you.
So there she had gone and she had to check herself. So that was also a motivating factor. Like, we try to take it in the motivating factor, that see how OCD is affecting even your health. It is not just thoughts and feelings. If you want some tangible, if you want to see the tangible effects, you see the tangible effect on your health. It has an indirect effect, but it has, right? Now, then the idea of the uterus and how all of those things, the period time and all of that was also discussed with her. So we went through thorough checkups during those times.
Oh, good. And if she agreed to the checkup, that means you made great progress because she has contamination fears. Oh, good.
Yes, yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
Thank you. There was a movie that really helped. The movie was there's a movie, I don't know if people have seen this movie, Wonder. It's a child movie. A boy with a very bad face, like had to go through multiple surgeries, and would not go out, and it would go out wearing a astronaut helmet.
Maybe you could share a list of the movies and with a small
Yes,
para
yes,
about each.
definitely, definitely.
Thank you.
Julia
Yeah.
Really good
Roberts
movie.
was the mother, maybe that one.
On the AoH group.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, 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 sure. Ma'am, you are on mute. Ma'am, you are on mute.
Sorry. Anyone else is there who would like to ask her anything or would like to share about the case? So, Pratyusha, what you mentioned, no, that you took a lot of time in rapport building. So, I also had the same experience with OCD, two of my OCD clients. Actually, yes, I think it is because of the OCD. They take a lot of time to, build up that rapport. Yes, yes, that's true. But your presentation is really very nice, very resourceful presentation, I would say
Mhm.
that. As you are also suggesting and mentioning the names of the movies, which you did to me earlier last year. You also shared few movies with me also.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, I think it is because
yeah,
of these teenagers. No, I think these movie things is something that
it
I am
works.
finding it
Yeah,
easy to relate and connect with them.
yes. Nidhi, Nidhi sir, Nidhi.
हाँ जी मैम.
हाँ, Nidhi. You would like to share or say something about
Yeah,
Pratyusha's
yeah.
opinion?
Congratulations, Prattusha. I find OCD cases particularly very sometimes interesting, sometimes challenging. Regarding this
Yeah.
contamination thing, I remember at least three of my female clients at some point with contamination OCD had
Yeah.
some history of either abuse or their parents, particularly mothers,
Yeah.
blaming them and shaming them. I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, it could be a pure coincidence, but this is
Mhm.
what my observation has been that they had a history of that mothers were shaming them, like, you're a bad girl, or why are you talking to that person?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
could be one of the reasons that kind of, environmental factors that added to the OCD related to contamination. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
really good. And I think ego strengthening has
Yes.
become like the go-to therapy for everything. And once a person, yes, once a person is, once your ego state is mature enough and uh, ma- it helps a lot to overcome many of the psychological issues. So
Yes.
apart
Yes.
from ego strengthening, there was no other hypnotherapy intervention, right? Just relaxation and ego strengthening.
I lost your voice.
I think in your PPT you mentioned ego strengthening and
Apart
relaxation.
from Yes, apart from that, so ego strengthening was we had created scripts and we were using that with combining a lot of ego strengthening statements and all of that. So visualization was one thing that it slowly was becoming really good to her. So she would visualize. She had become okay with a beach. So initially, I wasn't sure okay, what to make her visualize. Because if I talk about a garden, she might start feeling a little not so good because of the mud and the trees. And also, we were trying to understand. And so so that was one thing, she would be very confined in her room. And the visualization was also only in her room. So it took for us almost 2 or 3 sessions just to understand what visualizing what can make you feel good. So then she came to the statement of, okay, I want a nice white beach with white, like crystal clean water, and the sun and everything is bright and everything is clean, and this is a beach where I would like to walk on and things. So that visualization was created, and we would use that visualization, that safe place, the expansion. Ma'am had so this was ma'am's thing. निवेदिता मैम ने भी वो ये डिस्कस भी किया था मैम, मैंने आपके साथ लास्ट ईयर फिर ये
Yes,
करने से
yes,
पहले। तो वो
yes.
एक्सपांशन और वो कॉन्ट्रैक्शन वाला था। आपने भी बोला था, फिर सुमित सर ने भी had utilized the same thing. So that expansion, that everything is okay, and so the beach thing really made sense, and that worked very well. For deepening, the staircase one I would use, and relaxation. So initially, relaxation would become very difficult because she would not keep her eyes closed and she would open her eyes, and she would get up and see what is touching what. So it used to take a little while like that. And I did introduce a little bit music, sometimes a singing bowl music just behind, and so made her also listen to some music before going to sleep. if she was up for it. But everything had to change because she couldn't stick to one thing for a very long time. She would get bored. So had to change something about it. And see, basically, I really feel that this case was successful because of the family. And the successful the way that it was because of the family. Because um, I also had previous cases of OCD where it was not as successful as this one. That one I was able to help them take medication and do a lot of things, and she was also able to manage her way through 10th and all. But the change in the attitude was something that I felt when she could see her family take so much efforts. Then at one point she was like, okay, I can also do that. So I think that did wonders, the family collaboration. And because the aunt had gone through this herself, no, so somewhere she also wanted good for the child. Like, I don't want her to end up like me. So the aunt also, after a point, everybody became very cooperative, that let's do this. So the family would be like, okay, we will do this. A very cooperative family, extremely cooperative family. I would really want every child to have a family like this, very frankly.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay. So, Pratyusha, shall we close the meet? Is there anyone who would like to ask anything to Pratyusha? Any question? If no, then we will close the meet. Okay, so Pratyusha, really, it was a very nice case study, and the presentation, everything was very nice. And you have really worked very hard with this case. Your explanation and presentation, everything is very good. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, it is like we look forward more cases from you. And I request everyone kindly prepare at least one case and present in clinical meet, because we all are here to learn from each other. So please prepare one case.